I've been thinking about this quite a bit ever since my last video, and there were some comments that I think brought up some really excellent points as to why, if somehow Tesla is able to start manufacturing and mass producing vehicles without pedals, without steering wheels, because hey, they're just so good at driving themselves, that's proven to be safer, and we've had so much great development with the FSD beta. If those vehicles exist, they will not sell for $25,000. It simply does not make financial sense for Tesla, and it also wouldn't really make much financial sense in the consumer world, because as it stands right now, the Model 3, the Model Y, they start at $40,000 or $50,000. Doesn't matter really which Tesla for the example, but none of these vehicles come with the full self-driving package by default. They do come with autopilot, but if you want the self-driving functionality, which Tesla themselves has admitted in the past, will allow you to opt this vehicle into the RoboTaxi network, which could potentially make you $30,000 a year. That's an extra $10,000 in software unlocking right now, or it's another $200 per month to activate. So the idea that there would be a Tesla that they've designed to not be able to drive at all by hand, that would mean it would definitely have to include the full self-driving package by default, because there's literally no other way to drive the car, which right now, in its limited state, Tesla is selling as a $10,000 add-on, and I'm sure when the FSD beta rolls out to everybody and those features start to become more mainstream and not just in a limited form, then Tesla probably will raise the price to $12,000 or $14,000, maybe even more. And the idea that Tesla would sell a $25,000 vehicle that just has to come with that software package by default, that means that the potential for software revenue on that car would be far, far lower than the rest of their vehicles, which cost more to mass produce. And that's a $10,000 or $12,000 software package they're throwing in with a $25,000 car by default, meaning Tesla puts the value of the components, the interior, the battery, and the powertrain at like $15,000 or less? I don't really think so, which is why I think what makes far more sense is that if Tesla is able to mass produce vehicles like this, the price model of $25,000 is not going to hold up anymore. It's really not going to make sense for them. It's really not going to make sense for the customer that, oh, hey, yeah, if you buy a $25,000 car, you get the full self-driving package included with that for free because we didn't feel like including a steering wheel. But if you buy a $50,000 Model Y or a $130,000 Plaid Model S, no, you don't get the full self-driving package because we decided to ship a yoke or a steering wheel with those cars. So accessing the features which are included with the 25K model, that's going to be an extra $12,000 or $14,000 for you. Basically, if Tesla is able to achieve this driverless vehicle, it's going to be all about RoboTaxis by then that Tesla owns and operates themselves. And instead of trying to advertise, hey, we've now made a Tesla which you can buy for $25K, it'll be, we've built a Tesla you can ride for 18 or 20 cents a mile, right? It'll be way cheaper than Uber, way cheaper than Lyft, and that's how they're going to be pitching this as, well, it still helps us accelerate our transition to sustainable energy because unlike our own vehicles, a RoboTaxi would be operational for 16 or 18 hours a day because it doesn't have to sit in our garage or in a parking lot for many hours a day while we're either at home or working. So Tesla sees this as one vehicle that can replace the job of many vehicles put together. Therefore, the emissions are overall lower and the amount of energy it required to build that vehicle is fundamentally lower. And I personally don't really know how to feel about this myself because I prefer owning things outright, and I've seen that as a very vocal concern in my comment sections and elsewhere online, that a lot of people, even if the cost savings were there, don't really like the idea of having to just rent out RoboTaxis and stop buying Teslas outright, because there's a lot of people, I think, that would love to buy a car for $25,000 that's fully electric, still has good range, has supercharging network, and even has autonomous driving features, but it's still theirs to own. They can keep it, they can treat it how they like, and I'm in that camp myself. Even if RoboTaxis were cheap, I would not want to just give up car ownership and rent a vehicle everywhere I go. So I'm kind of hoping that Tesla still decides to keep selling vehicles to customers and the RoboTaxis don't take over too quickly, because you can very easily make the argument that if these things are capable of doing $30,000 a year and Tesla is able to produce them for under $25,000 a piece, that means it would make far more sense for Tesla to just start mass producing these and building them in the RoboTaxi network and make far more money that way than they would just selling to us directly as consumers. So I understand why Elon Musk is probably very quick to jump on the idea of, ooh, is this the car that won't have a steering wheel and pedals? It's not really just to save on manufacturing costs. I don't really think that aspect of the vehicle saves much money. I think Elon's interest in making making a driverless vehicle is more about, at that point, we don't need to sell to customers anymore. That's when we can just own and operate a huge autonomous driving fleet that will make us billions and billions of dollars a year, because we don't have to just sell a car once for $40,000 or $50,000 and then only hope that they maybe subscribe to FSD or premium connectivity in the long run. Instead, we can have one vehicle that was really cheap to build and make hundreds of thousands of dollars per vehicle over the long term. And I think that's what Elon is excited about. That's why we've heard that Elon was also interested in the Model 3 not having a steering wheel, or the Model Y not having a steering wheel. It's more because there's basically a giant pot of gold to whoever figures out the RoboTaxi software. And I personally think Tesla is closer than anyone, but I think that regulatory approval is probably going to end up taking way longer than Tesla actually thinks it does. And while I'm excited to try out this FSD limited beta, and I'm hoping that the wide release can be this month, I still think that before we reach the point of level 4 or level 5 autonomy, it's going to take many, many years of training. Dojo is going to have to be in operation for several years, and hopefully, you know, Tesla is kind of slow to coming up with full self-driving, because then that means there's a higher likelihood of a 25K Tesla actually launching that we can buy and drive around and actually use. I'm just hoping that the self-driving RoboTaxi vehicle comes so soon that Tesla kind of gives up on making lower priced vehicles and just say, instead of dropping 25K on a Tesla, you should just spend, you know, $10,000 a year on renting out a taxi wherever you go, or maybe far less than that. But is any of you out there somewhat interested in that type of future? Because I'm definitely kind of annoyed by it, just as someone who likes to own my own things. Would you stop owning a car if you could get 18 cents per mile through the RoboTaxi network? I mean, you still get to ride in a Tesla regularly. You still get to feel like you're in the future and sit in a car that drives itself. You can use your phone. You get a lot of the advantages of owning a Tesla, but without actually doing so. So I'm curious what you guys think. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.